So I just got back from a great dinner with my wife and great restaurants, wonderful dinner. And there were a couple of things on the way home that I was thinking about since the Colorado State Assembly 2 weeks ago now. And I want to address one of them right here and probably talk about the other one coming up here pretty shortly. But really the first one that kind of has been bothering me since the State Assembly, and I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this. I want to be really direct about it because, as a party, I think, uniting is one of the big issues that we've had in this state and nationally for that matter. But, and like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. What we're seeing in Colorado's Republican primary right now isn't just a policy disagreement. It's a loyalty test. And right at the center of it are Scott Bottoms and Victor Marx, two candidates sending very different signals about what happens after the votes are counted. There's an unwritten rule in politics, especially in primaries. You fight hard, then you unite. But Bottoms is throwing a wrench into that tradition. Scott Bottoms is breaking this rule because he truly feels threatened. In his recent comments, he states that he will not support Marx if Marx becomes the Republican nominee.
Will you get behind whoever is the nominee in June?
I will get behind anybody that comes out that wins in June, the primary. Even if people come out of this assembly, I don't anticipate. I will get behind anybody but Victor Marx.
Why is that?
Because I think he is corrupt.
It's tough to swallow, actually. That's not a small thing. That's a deliberate choice. Because here's the reality. Refusing or even hesitating to back your party's nominee sends a message. It says, I don't trust this candidate. I don't think they should lead. Or maybe even, I'd rather risk losing than fall in line. Now, maybe Bottoms believes that. Maybe he thinks principle outweighs party. But let's be clear. This isn't just independence. It's political escalation. Now contrast that with what Marx has said in his response.
And said the problem and the reason why I'm here is that none of them can win the general. And I still stand on that without reservation.
All right, we'll see what happens in the primary. By the way, if you don't win the primary, will you support whoever does in the race for governor?
100%, of course. I can't say other candidates who are on the ballot agree to that, but I do.
He doesn't hedge. He doesn't qualify. He doesn't leave wiggle room. He says he'll support whoever the Republican nominee is. That's not flashy, but it is strategic. It tells voters, I'm in this to win as a party. I'll take the hits now, but I won't fracture things later. The bigger fight is outside this primary. It's the kind of message that campaigns use when they're thinking beyond themselves. And whether you agree with Marx or not, that's a disciplined position. So what are we actually looking at here? Not just two candidates, but two mindsets. Bottom's message stripped down, I'll support the nominee unless it's Victor Marx. Marx's message, I'll support the nominee, period. One is conditional, the other is absolute. And that difference matters more than it might seem, because primaries aren't just about picking a candidate. They're about testing whether a coalition can hold together under pressure. Right now, that coalition looks pretty shaky. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If candidates won't back each other after the primary, voters notice. And when voters sense division, a few things happen. Enthusiasm drops, trust erodes, and the opposition gains ground without lifting a finger. This is how parties lose races they should be competitive in, not because of bad politics or even bad policies, but because of internal fractures. So when Bottoms signals that he won't support Marx, he's not just drawing a personal line. He's raising the stakes for the entire party. So the real question at the end of the day is that this isn't about who's right. It's about what kind of candidate voters want. Do you want someone who says, I stand firm on my personal beliefs, no matter the cost? Or someone who says, I'll unify, no matter who wins? Because you rarely get both. In this race, you might have to choose. We saw too much of the same fighting back in 2015 and 2016 with the Republican never-Trumpers that were dogmatic about supporting only their candidates and not the platform. This caused havoc in Trump's first term, and we saw the infighting that blocked a lot of good work that could have been done. Colorado Republicans are all too good at this type of infighting, and as a result, we are not united and have allowed Democrats to take over for the last 26 years. We have an opportunity in this election to turn this around. So let's not put personal bias over the party. Just a few thoughts for you to think about.